my god, my brain is a fart. What the hell? I can't think. What are we doing again?
What are we? Oh God, it's in our text.
We're
What are we
doing
doing?
funks. We're talking about the
We're doing
funk.
funks. Yes,
Alright.
we're doing funks.
Alright. Hi. Welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
Today we're talking about funk. Not the funk, just a state of mind. How does one kind of, stop repetitive combat? In a more realistic sense, how does someone get out of this kind of trench of just either repetition or monotony? So Alex, I'm gonna leave it to you to guide us this episode.
Put so much faith in me. I don't know if I'm ready
You know,
for this.
you don't know until you try.
This is true. I mean, from our conversations outside this podcast and our conversations within this podcast, I feel like both of us have been in a little bit of an actual funk, which we can talk about, I guess, in a little bit. But Adrian, my question for you is what do you do in Dungeons and Dragons while you're playing with your characters? What do you do if you feel like the story is stagnant? I guess maybe let's start from the beginning of like, how do you figure out if you're in a rut with your DMing?
The main thing that I kind of look for is just player engagement. If it's just getting stale, they're not as happy when they roll a crit. It feels to me that like either A, the combat is just whatever to them and they want more story, or the characters they're fighting aren't that meaningful to them, and that it seems like less of a like, oh, it's just more cannon fodder for XP, or it's just something to do in between the like missions. So I try my best to kind of gauge that session to session by just the general expressions and engagement from my players. I think that if they just go on tangents with their characters, I let it be because that's them engaging in the story. I try my best not to like railroad them. I wait for them to ask questions and I'm like, oh, here are the answers. Or this person doesn't have answers, but if you look this way, they might. So I believe that it's all based on your player's interaction. I've had a combat scene because I really shouldn't have let them sleep. I had some low B monsters, but I let them have a long rest instead of just saying, no, we have to do this now, which made them have all their HP back and all their spells back. And I'm like, well, then now the monster is going to be just demolish. So I dropped something that had resistance to certain things and a whole bunch of HP, and they regened HP. And that fight was such a drudge. Oh my goodness. Like, it didn't hit hard, but man, it shouldn't have taken that long. It was just such a slog of combat. But yeah, I think that combat should be every hit kind of matters kind of thing. With that last combat, it was just like maybe it's chipping something off, maybe not. And since it wasn't doing too much damage to the other players, I think I just had horrendous rolls, that it didn't seem dire. So make sure the consequences matter or are dire is the way I make sure that the combat part of it is good. I've had too much trouble with RP wise. There's some like inner player kind of stuff that they kind of fight on their own, so I don't worry about it too much. Have
Has
you
anyone ever
Go ahead.
like expressed to you that they're bored with the game, or is that something like, I guess, is that a relationship that you have with your players, or you just assume that they're bored because of the way that they're interacting?
I've had one person, Pink, he told me, don't be afraid to make combat deadly. Because I think he could tell that I was kind of pulling some punches and that it wasn't as dangerous. After I knew that, I figured out that they could take a punch. I stopped undoing things. I think the last punch I kind of pulled was with my brother's group. Some of them was their first time playing D&D, and my brother rolled a nat 1 on a death saving throw, and he already had one failure, which puts them into just plain out dead. I did something that Skylar did in our campaign and just maim him instead of kill him. That way, I kind of like, I gave him a second chance, so if he dies, I already was kind to him once. He's got to be dead. next time. I think I've only had one conversation like that, but it's also the longest game I've ran. So I haven't had many since then have the kind of relationship I have now to like have them just be straight up. And I also like I think it was like when they turned level 4, a couple sessions after I'm like, "Look, we've been together for a while. Just tell me what you want from this game." Like being very straight up with them is the best policy to have. I think I waited so long was just to make sure that they'd stick around, as well as I knew that they have experienced me now, and what do they think that can be different, kind of thing, and they understand what I would need as a response, kind of thing.
That sounds like a normal relationship. Like you have all of these other short-term relationships and you just okay, cool, everything's great. And then like the first trial, maybe nobody shows up and then it's done, so then it's not a big deal. But then your first like long-term relationship, you get to your like plateau and then it's important to have that first conversation of like what is our goal as a couple. So it's not our original topic, but how Dungeons and Dragons turns into an actual relationship. And even if you're going to apply it to one-on-one relationships or, polyamorous relationships, however you express yourself in love, it's very interesting just hearing you talk about it and then like being able to apply it to like, real world, quote unquote.
I mean, I get what you're saying with real world. I think outside of play kind of context, because like either way, you're talking about a relationship that's still real. I mean, yes, they're your players and they're not like your partners or your, like some of them can be your friends, but what I'm saying is that there's still some sort of like kind of human to human interaction that you kind of can apply to that something that's not play and something that's more kind of, personal.
And by no means putting down the relationship that you build while you're playing this games. It was just,
Yeah. No, I got
but yeah. Okay, so then you listen to what your players are saying and then you change it up or, give them something else to do. So sort of normal things. I don't think I have any other big follow-up questions from that. I just feel like this week has been low energy for me. Last week was low energy for me. So it's just one of those times that it's just a lot of reflection and cool. That's a thing that happened. I probably need some time to digest that. So
it.
that's what I have about Dungeons and Dragons right now.
No worries. We can talk about getting out of the funk in real life. And in all honesty, we'll definitely somehow go back to Dungeons and Dragons every now and then.
Ooh, maybe every once in a while.
Yeah, it happens. We just kind of like flow in and out. But yeah, no,
Aw.
I totally feel you on this last week and this week. I think the biggest thing that I've been worried about is this job that I'm working on, trying to get. I want it, and I'm also afraid because I've never had something like this. I think it's a big step, and
Are
I
you
think
feeling afraid because it's a change? Or is it because that you're actually one step closer to like a final goal?
that's
Or
such a
both?
that's such a weird thought. A final goal.
Your final destination.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, everything's just the next step. I don't know if there is a final goal for me. I mean, there's bigger goals, like what I want to do after this, past this, but like a final one, it sounds so bizarre to me.
Well, I mean, we can have the bigger conversation that there's always going to be one goal that you can achieve, and that's going to be the last goal that you can ever achieve before, you just are not you're not here anymore. And I know that we have some future talks about death and dying,
Yeah.
which is probably where this is also coming from. But
I mean, it's still a part of most things and why we kind of push forward. So, I mean, it's the reason why we feel like, oh, we should do these things now. But for some of us, it's like, why, even if we know our time is finite, why do we just laze around? Why do we just kind of, wait or with our time do nothing? Like, even though I know that, I still do nothing. Sometimes it feels good. Sometimes we're just here to just feel that, to feel better than we were before. So sometimes nothing is better than forcing yourself to do something that you might feel stressed out or you won't get that same dopamine hit. I think I'm just answering my own question.
Isn't that normal? Isn't that just when you're talking out loud that you have your own answers?
I guess so. I do believe so.
So then,
Yeah.
okay, with the crushing doubt of the world and what is our bigger meaning, what's the bigger picture in all of this, how do you get out of that? How do you just push forward? Is it just like, I guess, what do you do rather than just like, I just wait till the next day? Like, yeah, but like concrete. Because I'm sure somebody's struggling. If we're struggling, we're having these conversations. Certainly somebody else is feeling it too.
My best way of getting out of it personally is to have it be with somebody else. To, like, this podcast wouldn't have had happened without you, without having somebody
Oh,
with me. I do better when I do something with somebody else. It's just easier. There's very few things I do by myself. So it's tough. It's tough to do things. Like, very few, like, the reason I have this potential job is because my friend said, hey, if you come move down here, I'll somehow figure out how to get out of my lease, which I don't think he's going to be able to do. And then we'll buy a house and we can live down here. So, like, that was motivation. Like, if I didn't have anybody where I was going, like, if I was to move out of state, I think it'd be interesting. I might not have anyone, but I don't know how well socially, mentally I'd be. But because I know that I have a friend down there, that I'll be so much better off than just if it was just by myself. Like, I definitely have some sort of social support, which is super important for me. And that's why I have you to do this, to keep creating, to keep thinking. Yeah, without you this wouldn't be possible.
absolutely would not have started doing any of this or thinking about any of this without you have just like asking me either. And of course, like you have ideas and like, oh, this would be cool for a podcast. And it's so easy just to feel like you could get lost in the sea of podcasts and like, what do I have to say that would change the world? Or maybe it's just our screaming into the void that is what's important.
I think it's always important that to understand that you are definitely screaming into the void with everything you say. It's
Oh
beautiful.
man,
It's so
I
beautiful.
think about it.
I didn't think about it until right now, and I love it. Um, every word I say is to the void.
Oh no. What
It,
do you do?
what do I do?
What do you do to motivate yourself? Yeah, like are there any things that you do to like get out of the funk? Are there things that you really look for in yourself when you are trying to not feel bad? I would assume part of it is like talking to loved ones because you mentioned being motivated by
Uh,
outside people. So,
when I'm in the funk, it's tough to do that in its own self. I felt tired, so I went to sleep. I took a nap. Like, it wasn't like I don't know, like I could try to like could get my mind out of it by asking someone for help or asking someone, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, kind of keeping my mind out of just like, "Hey, you're tired, go to sleep." But instead, I just did that. I just said, "You're tired, go to sleep." When I try to like get myself like I wake up in the morning, I kind of look at my board. I just got a board this month. One of the first things says is pods and weekly goals, and I sometimes that helps and sometimes it doesn't. Like, and I have daily goals. I didn't do any of those daily goals from yesterday. I tell you what. But I did get my I did figure out some like job stuff, so I think if everything's fine. Like, those daily goals, like, okay, you didn't do them, but now they're down there for tomorrow, and it'll be fine. Just work on them tomorrow. And today I had a full day of going to appointments for my dog, for myself. Like, I did stuff today, so I don't feel bad taking that nap anymore. Like, when I'm such in a rut, I look at the small thing. I'm like, you know what? Pick up that small pile of clothes. You know, that's something you weren't going to do before. You're just going to let that lie there for a while. So just do that. Don't even worry about the whole room. Just work on that. And then if you feel good about it, do some more. If that took a lot, figure out what you can take. Kind of gauge yourself, kind of thing. And then
So
like
basically, just the snow miser effect of just one foot in front of the other.
yes, I'm like Snow Miser. Why does that sound familiar?
'Cause it's the like stop animation Christmas movies.
Yeah, no, I remember that
No,
one. It just took me a while.
I don't think it's the snow miser that sings it.
No, but
I'm gonna look it up
uh,
so we don't have to do a correction corner.
we don't actually have one for today, so this will be our correction corner right here.
He is talking to the Winter Warlock.
Oh, that's what his name is. I thought it was like
Yeah,
Jack, Snow Jack, or I don't know what the heck those snow people.
I think you're trying to combine a bunch of those, but
Yeah, Jack Frost.
which is fair. Yeah, Jack Frost was a singular one. Santa Claus is Coming to Town was the like introduction of Santa.
hmm
Um, and there's a grumpy wizard that Kris Kringle sings back to being good and happy and become a nice person.
hmm
And the song that he sings is Put One Foot in Front of the Other. It's cute. We're almost there for Christmas, so I'm ready for all of the Christmas
You've
things.
skipped so many holidays. You're one of those.
No, 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 no. I don't skip so many holidays. So here's how holidays in my family work.
Okay, okay,
And
okay.
by my family, I mean me and what I forced my husband into doing. Okay? I'm aware. I'm aware that it is 100% he knew what he was getting into. Like, well, maybe not. But
Continue.
since we yeah, since we dated for like 2 months before getting married and we didn't go through any holidays except for Valentine's Day.
Nice.
So, Christmas, no, let's back it up. Halloween, which is what we are in, gets 2 months. Halloween starts September 1st and will end October 31st. Christmas will start November 1st and end no further than 2 weeks into January. So Halloween gets its designated 2 months, Christmas gets its designated 2 months, and I do not feel bad. I don't really do Thanksgiving because I
hmm
didn't eat meat as a kid. I don't really like turkey now. So like Thanksgiving dinner for me is like macaroni and cheese and like mashed potatoes.
Nice, nice.
And we live in Dallas, so the only football game that's usually on is the Cowboys. And once again, I do not care.
Yeah, no, I don't care about the
No,
Dallas Cowboys either, or sports
no.
as a general idea.
So that's Christmas. That's Christmas and Halloween. I don't skip any major holidays.
All right, all
They
right.
just have equal space because I love them equally. I am the epitome of like a Nightmare Before Christmas child that I can use both of them and celebrate both holidays.
We're talking about getting out of our funk. We got tangented into the holidays because of Snow Miser, which, you know, is a natural thing for podcasts to do, so there's no point in worrying about it. But yeah, is there anything in particular that you do, I guess, to get out of a funk?
So I do a lot of things. Depends on the funk level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Overall, it's do one thing and that's it.
Like, for how long?
I base level of like doing one thing at a time. Usually it goes and follows a couple of things. If it's like I feel depressed and I know I have not showered or taken care of myself, my first step is usually doing something like that, right? Taking a shower. Usually by the time I've recognized it, I need to wash my hair. So like that like self-care aspect of it. If like I have just like a bad day, it may be a little more bougie where like I do a pedicure or a facial or I take a bath and I just like love on myself and recognize that it's just the time and space that
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling bad and it's just something to deal with for the moment. What else to do? If I like need to reject reality for a minute and just live outside of my head, I would love to tell you that I go and talk to somebody else like you do, but it does not help for me to go talk to other people and hear what they have to say, even though I will tell them like, hey, I just want to like listen to your problems for a second.
Uh-huh.
It's really just me avoiding taking care of myself. So it's really just a negative coping mechanism. Even though it sounds like a good thing to do, it's really so I'm not like at all. But in my head during this conversation, I am like working through my shit. So I ignore everybody and I'll read or I'll play video games. If it's a weird funk and I need to move my body, I'll just put on some music and dance and just have like a weird dance situation happen. And it's usually like the Bee Gees. Like, I don't know what it is about the Bee Gees, but anytime I'm feeling bad, I can put them on, or I can put like Michael Jackson on and I beat whatever it is.
I don't think I have much of a like a go-to song or group of songs. If I'm in a funk, I try to make sure that it doesn't like go with the funk. If you understand, like if I'm feeling like shit, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to listen to the front bottoms. But part of me does. I'm like, yes, wallow right now. So I'll try to make it like some sort of like hard R&B song where I'm just like in my car, like capping people. Man, that makes me feel good. Like, yeah, I'm not this hard. I'm feeling weak as shit, so I'm gonna pretend a little.
I can see that where you gotta pretend. Yeah, right, that's fine.
And then other times I'm just like, I just want to feel psychedelic, and I just like interpretive dance, and nobody's around, kind of thing. That's
I need to
always fun.
see
No,
I need to see you interpretive dance
no, please
something.
no.
Just
There's no
if we
way.
get 500 downloads,
How do I
listens,
listens? I gotta stop listening to the podcast to make sure there's no errors now.
500, we get like a 10-second clip of
No,
Adrian interpretive dancing.
I'll interpretive dance at 10K.
10K listens? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, 10K listens. I'll release a clip of me interpretive dancing to some sort of song. If it's
Okay, if it's 10K though, I think we should at least bump it up to 35 seconds.
all right, fine. If it's 10K, I'll do 35 seconds. If we get up to 50K, you guys get to choose the song.
Yes.
Just setting up goals. Now I don't want this to succeed. This is the last episode. I'm sorry. Oh man. I mean, like right now, we're on our way definitely to get 500. I tell you what. I like we get roughly like 10 listens per video. So all of that means is that we have to do 50 videos. I mean, our podcast session. So that's not that hard. I don't think. We've done 5, we can do 50. That's how much I believe in this podcast. So I have to drop the numbers all the way up to 10K.
10K.
I love it. There's the stretch goal. We'll put that on the website.
Oh, you bet. I am absolutely tweeting this right now.
Oh no!
I'm pushing. It's going to be the push to get us sponsors, to get us legitimate, for people just to be like banging down our doors to have us talk on their podcast, to have us go and talk about what it is to be such a success at comic conventions,
I've thought about
all the things.
a con too. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah. See, look, we keep talking big, but we just we. Did you just tweet? Is that what I heard?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
No, I have not actually. I didn't even tag you either, so.
Oh no. I'm
Okay.
just not gonna know about it. Okay. All right. But yeah, it's okay. To get back on track, it's tough to get out of a funk in general. It's tough. I can talk about like how some of my games have been like kind of disbanded because of it. They weren't
Yes, talk about that. That sounds so sad.
It is. It's gonna be. They're not. This was the group that I like kind of played a lot with back in college. We did well. We swapped DMs. We kind of like alternated things up. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, kind of type of ideology, just to keep people kind of interested, and so people weren't burnt out as being DMs or being burnt out as players. So we kept switching, and then flash forward to now, which is like 7 years now, I've tried to rekindle that kind of flame we used to have back in college, and it just felt like we were just killing guys to level up. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like from all the stories you hear about like how people cry when their characters die and all that stuff, like I just thought like I wasn't feeling that anymore, so it just kind of felt hard. And like just people were like, it's your turn, and they weren't listening, and it's your turn, and they didn't know the guy was dead already, so they punched the same guy as last time, and it just felt disheartening. And our group kind of fell apart. Like I try to spice it up by me and my friends switching off DMs, but like one of our guys just I guess wasn't in it because like, oh, I forgot, I'm with my grandma right now having dinner. I'm like, what do you mean? We've done this for the past month every Friday. Like, how do you forget? Like, what?
Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds so sad.
it is sad. It is sad. It's a sad story. And then I tell them I'm like DMing for other people. It's like, well, why don't you DM for us anymore? Like, because you guys don't want to. It doesn't feel like you want to play anymore. And like we've tried to get the guys back together, but it just doesn't work out. Like I think we've created so many characters that like one of our guys just literally is every time he makes a new character now, it's just a president's name. So like his last character was Lyndon B. Johnson, and I don't remember the one before that. But yeah, so that's kind of faded. So it's kind of disheartening. I did get a text this week though about one of my old groups in Lubbock wanting to start up their Curse of Strahd game again, and I'm like,
Ooh.
yeah, I'm excited. They didn't get that far, so I'm interested. I don't even remember what they did or didn't do. I'm just probably gonna give them. I think I'm just gonna have to give them quests that might interest them, or like give them a list real quick because they're kind of starting in the middle of the story if they restart, and I don't want to start them at the beginning because then it'll just burn them out. Like I've already been here and they won't be as invested anymore. So I'm have to figure out a way in order for them to not fall under the same spell of this monotony of making new characters and trying to play again and all that stuff. It just makes my little heart hurt.
So, okay, I guess thinking about that, if you're trying to rekindle that relationship, maybe feeling that you had once upon a time, how how would you go about doing that? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Now I'm picking up my mic so I can one hand it like like a cool guy.
Look at this cool guy.
Look at this cool guy. So I think if I were to properly do it, I would get a bunch of things that we all enjoyed during that time. And in honesty, I wouldn't do a module because when we played, we made up the thing. We didn't have a module to go on. We just did the damn thing. And we made it on the spot. We made our decisions on the spot. Now that I did a module, I don't feel like it's the same. The things we used to love, dungeons, dragons. No, just kidding. Dungeons, traps, morals. We had a point in one of our missions where we had to decide, do we save the NPC or the PC? And well, one, the PC was being a piece of shit to the guy who had to choose earlier on in the game, so we picked the NPC. So that guy wasn't happy. So that guy died. And I think he had to re-roll his character, but unfortunately he was playing so metagaming that he would like still dog on this guy. Like, you weren't even there. And he's like, yeah, but like, okay. So we had to not play with that guy anymore. Because, being an asshole in game gives in-game consequences for that guy to not really want you to like, do you choose the guy who's been nice to you even though maybe it's an illusion? And it was. We saved a pig. We didn't even save the NPC. It was just a pig disguised as the NPC. Or do you say the PC that's been an asshole to you? Yes, it might give you a tactical advantage, but would that make sense? So yeah, those kind of decisions. Like, do or die. I think some of my best moments with that group was like player character conflict, because we had to decide who's losing hit points to get past this area, and I decided the new person needed to die. And that was kind of like, I've had a history with the rest of everybody else. It doesn't make sense for my character to not try and like take blood from the new person, which was kind of a dick move as a player. But I didn't know what else to do because we were just fighting the whole time. It was like making me annoyed, and I'm like, this guy doesn't want to be trapped in here forever. He's gonna make a move, so I made a move, and I, as a rogue, I had sneak attack, I had advantage, and I had so much dice, and I almost killed the new player in one shot because I shot that person in the back of the head. She didn't even see it coming, and then
Yeah, no.
and then the guy who brought her in started attacking me, and then the paladin was trying to protect me, and then the wizard finally decided to use thunderclap or something and just push us both to each end of the room and just to like cut it out. And then we found a little inscription that said, "Hey, there's an alternative way to get past this test." So we didn't end up killing that person. That was
But you tried to sacrifice somebody.
I really did. I really did. So be it. I didn't. We were just sitting there in that room, and there's a madman at the end of this room just laughing at us, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And I did it. I did it. I did the dang thing. I pulled the trigger when no one else would, and it made internal conflicts in real life. So that's fun. What's a boy to do? What were we talking? Those are the those kind of experiences I remember fondly of, like those kind of things. So I try to probably integrate all that into the game properly and make the dungeons myself like I did before. But yeah, that's what I think. And I kind of tried that. I asked them, "Hey, give me a backstory, and I'll make a world around it." And they're like, I don't wanna. But I feel like it was less of like less of apathy, but more of like, what's the point of all my characters gonna just die again, or like we get reset the next week? Because we've had times where we try to pick this back up over and over, and it just kind of sucks. Yeah, sorry. That's the game I would make.
This is a really roundabout conversation that we had.
That's me. I think I talked to Julia about this, saying like, if it wasn't for my co-host, it'd be insane ramblings, and I need her to tell me when I'm going on, or like to reel me back in.
I mean, for what we thought was going to be one conversation, I think ended up having a relationship conversation, which is fine.
I think a lot of things can go back to relationships because we're social beings, and relationships are a big thing in the way we act and interact. Do you have anything else to add?
I just hope that this funk, whatever it is, just like, I don't know if it needs to go away, but I need to find other ways to deal with it, I guess. Continue going to therapy. Maybe everything will simmer down. I don't know. I don't have high hopes.
I mean, we had such a great time with Skylar. I think we just need to have some fresh bodies in here.
But then we can get rid of them because they're the newest ones. So our relationship continues forever.
Exactly. We're just sapping their energy.
That's fine.
That is fine.
You did say that you like playing rogues, so you can be like the bad guy, the bad boy, not the bad guy, the bad boy.
I'm not a bad boy.
I know that. I think at this point, everybody knows that.
Yeah, whatever. I think that I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I think us having a schedule is going to spice this up again. I feel like we had a lot of ferocity at the first couple episodes, and then this one and last one were just like, we're tired. We're trying.
I did start that way, and then by the time you and I were done talking or finished recording, I was like, that felt like a really good conversation.
Oh, dude, the last part, I loved the last part of our episode. Like the beginning was just like, meh, but the last part was great.
Yeah, and this one, I think we came in with a lot of jazz and then realized life still has to continue.
We started talking about Howard Funks, and we're like, yes, that is reality. We are just shells of people embodying emotions. And it really kind of, I don't think purposefully, but just kind of put a damper on things. uh,
Oh
I'm
man.
just naming this episode The Funk, and they have to figure
Yeah,
out why it's called that.
you
Um,
gotta have the funk.
Unfortunately, all I can think about is old Gregg. I don't know if you know what that is.
I am 100% familiar with Old Greg because Noel Fielding is literally the most beautiful person, aside from David Bowie, that I have ever seen. So, like, I think my sexuality was very clearly defined with like my early crushes. And if that's like David Bowie and Noel Fielding, like it makes sense. A lot of the things, you know.
I got you.
Yep.
I
Oh
think.
man, he's beautiful.
I love the IT crowd, and I love watching him on it.
I love the IT crowd.
That's Noah
That's
Fielding.
so
I'm
dry.
not.
No, you're right. You're
Okay.
right.
He's Richard. No,
Yes.
not Richard's the.
Or whatever.
I
Yes.
don't know.
Let me go. I'll Google. Correction corner immediately.
Immediately, right now. I'm wrong. Fix this now. Gosh, no, I
Correction
really think
corner
talking about our funk
immediately.
really kind of like I'm feeling better now that we're not talking about it anymore.
As long as we're just ignoring it, right?
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly. If we keep ignoring the funk,
It doesn't actually exist.
it doesn't actually exist.
Noel Fielding plays Richmond in the
Richmond.
IT crowd.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, that's our correction corner for this episode because we're not gonna have another one later.
Double correction corner.
Double. You know what? We needed it. But yeah, throughout talking about the funk, is all I could think about was that old Gregg.
The funk.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly.
Send your fan fiction his way.
What fan fiction?
I don't even know.
Like, of like Dungeons and Dragons fanfic.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the fanfic,
Oh,
right?
okay.
It's the eligible young lady and you playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that's it. It's just beautiful and very PG. It's just a fun.
One of my friends met her boyfriend through one of my Dungeons and Dragons games. They've been together for like a year and a year or two now.
Matchmaker.
Yes.
You brought that together.
It wasn't on purpose. I was just like, hey, they both like D&D. I need players. And I didn't think it fling so hard.
Oh, it flung.
It flung. They flung. I tell you what. It was like after the game, and my roommate. I'm like, why is her car still here?
Ooh.
Exactly. It was salacious. I don't even know I'm using that word right. Salacious. Having or conveying undue or inappropriate interest in sexual matter. It was definitely salacious. All right. Since we're now officially like out of our funk talking about the funk, I feel like this is like the best way to end it because otherwise we'd be so sad. And that's how we're gonna have
You're gonna have a lot of fun editing this. I feel like the tape, the floor of your imaginary, editing room is gonna be the cutting floor, whatever it is.
The cutting room floor.
Whatever. The cutting room floor. See, I just tried to combine a bunch of things that didn't really work.
Well, like you're like 2/3 of the way there, like twice. So you're super close.
Your cutting room floor is gonna be beautiful.
This episode wasn't that bad. I think near the end it kind of cheered the hell back up. So I think this is gonna be like a whoa kind of editing kind of process. So I think it's gonna be fine. Since we know what we're gonna talk about next week, we're gonna have a special guest. All our guests are special.
All of them.
Yes, I know her name. Hold up. Let me make sure I say this
right.
right.
We just leave that for next week. Leave them as a cliffhanger.
Okay. I think we kind of did.
We have a special guest. It's girl.
It's girl. They are her. She is they. Bring it up.
And I am the walrus.
And I am the walrus. I feel like you'd think I don't know what it means, but I know what that one is. That one's a
No,
Beatles reference.
I imagine that you know the Beatles. I feel like that is definitely in your wheelhouse.
Okay, I just can never unfeel like you guys are dancing around me since Skylar was on.
That is what happens. I mean, that was a late episode. I know absolutely my medicine wore off. I don't know about his medicine or if he takes anything, but I can tell you on my side, my medicine is off at that point, and I had just finished like an 2-hour game.
Hmm.
So I went from working over to my dad's house. We played through a dungeon and then we recorded that podcast. So it was about time for me to be a little loopy. I just didn't think it was going to be recorded. Thought we could avoid the actual recording of it, but that's okay.
Did you enjoy the episode at least?
I loved it.
All right, wonderful. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right. Can we
For
give out the
listeners.
topic at least?
Yeah, we can give out the topic.
All right. Next week's topic is player character deaths.
So get your next character sheet ready because Adrian just warned you.
That's a throwback. If you don't understand that, go back and watch our podcast, episode 3. Now on Spotify. All right.
If you need to be sponsor, if you need to give away some sponsor stuff, we are here to take your things and to sponsor, I guess.
But here's what we can do for you. If you're a listener that wants to be part of this, we'll shout you out. We'll give you some sort of like a shout out. I know we're small, but we're gonna grow through everyone's web kind of intertangling and just like a community being created.
And how cool would it be to be on the ground floor of whatever we are about to build?
Yeah, before this podcast,
Who knows?
we were thinking about, naming a tower after our podcast.
Maybe donating to colleges or scholarship funds.
Big things happening here with 10
Adopting
viewers.
all the dogs.
Dude, I would definitely do that.
So I guess let's close this thing out.
Yes,
So.
let's do that.
So thanks everybody for listening. Follow us on Twitter at DNDegreesPod. Feel free to talk to us through there. We also have an email now, which dndegreespod@gmail.com. Follow and subscribe wherever podcasts are found. If you want to rate us, please rate us 5 stars. That would be beautiful. Get the word out because that's the only way we grow. And that way we can see Adrian's interpretive dancing.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
Go have some fun.